There are moments in life when you realize that what you have experienced so far is not the fullness of what has been prepared for you. There is a realm beyond survival, beyond struggle, beyond repetition, a realm where grace flows effortlessly, where doors open with divine speed, and where your life begins to reflect the beauty of heaven's intention. Tonight is not an ordinary moment. It is a divine appointment. It is a spiritual crossing point. It is the moment when the invisible begins to manifest in the visible. Many people desire blessings, but few understand that every new level requires a new capacity, a new vision, and a new depth in the spirit. You may have prayed before, you may have waited before, you may have tried before, but there comes a time when heaven decides that enough preparation has been done and it is time for manifestation. The next level of blessings is not just about more money, more opportunities, or more recognition. It is about becoming the kind of person who can carry what God is about to release. There are seasons in life when everything seems ordinary on the surface, yet something extraordinary is happening beneath the visible realm. Many people think progress is only the result of hard work, connections, or favorable circumstances. But there is a deeper law that governs true elevation: alignment. When your spirit, your thoughts, your decisions, and your actions come into harmony with divine purpose, struggles that once seemed permanent begin to dissolve, and doors that appeared impossible to open suddenly respond to your presence. Alignment is not accidental. It is a deliberate process of positioning your heart in the direction of truth. Often, people pray for change without realizing that their inner world is out of order. They desire new levels, but their minds are still tied to old limitations. They speak about blessings, but their hearts are still governed by fear, doubt, and insecurity. Divine alignment begins when you allow your inner life to be reshaped, when you submit your understanding to higher wisdom, and when you become willing to let go of patterns that no longer serve your destiny. When alignment happens, resistance reduces. You begin to notice that things that once took years to accomplish start happening with unusual speed. Relationships that were blocked suddenly reconnect. Opportunities that seemed distant begin to find you. This is not coincidence. It is the natural result of being positioned correctly in the spiritual order of life. Just as a key only works when it aligns perfectly with the lock, your life only begins to unlock its true potential when it aligns with purpose. Many people spend their lives fighting battles that are not meant for them, pursuing goals that do not reflect their calling, and carrying burdens that were never assigned to them. Misalignment creates unnecessary struggle. It drains energy, confuses vision, and delays fulfillment. But when alignment is restored, clarity emerges. You begin to understand why certain doors closed, why some people left, and why certain paths did not work. What once felt like rejection begins to reveal itself as redirection. Alignment also requires courage. It takes courage to walk away from familiar comfort and step into unfamiliar purpose. It takes courage to say no to distractions and yes to discipline. It takes courage to remain faithful when results are not immediately visible. But every act of courage is a statement of trust in a higher plan. And trust is the language that opens the doors of divine favor. When your spirit aligns with truth, your perception changes. You no longer see obstacles as permanent barriers, but as temporary tests. You no longer interpret delay as failure, but as preparation. You begin to recognize that every season, whether pleasant or painful, is contributing to your growth. In alignment, even adversity becomes a tool for elevation, and every challenge becomes a stepping stone toward your next level. There is also an alignment of timing. Many people are frustrated, not because they are wrong, but because they are early or late. Being aligned with the right timing means knowing when to act, when to wait, and when to move with boldness. It means discerning the rhythm of life instead of forcing outcomes. When timing aligns with purpose, your efforts produce results beyond your expectations, and your labor begins to attract favor rather than fatigue. Alignment influences relationships as well. When you are aligned internally, you begin to attract people who resonate with your vision and values. Toxic connections lose their grip, and meaningful partnerships emerge. Conversations become purposeful, collaborations become fruitful, and unity replaces competition. In alignment, you stop begging for acceptance and start walking in authenticity. And authenticity draws the right people into your life. Furthermore, alignment transforms your voice. Words spoken from a misaligned heart carry little power, but words spoken from a centered and aligned spirit carry authority. Your declarations begin to shape your environment. Your prayers begin to shift atmospheres. Your presence begins to inspire confidence and hope in others. This is because alignment connects you to a source beyond human limitation, and that connection infuses your words with life. However, alignment is not a one-time event. It is a continuous journey. Every day presents choices that either strengthen or weaken your alignment. Every thought you entertain, every decision you make, and every habit you cultivate either moves you closer to purpose or further away from it. That is why self-awareness is essential. You must constantly examine your motives, refine your priorities, and realign your focus when necessary. When alignment becomes your lifestyle, blessings no longer feel forced. You stop chasing success and start attracting it. You stop striving for recognition and start embodying excellence. You stop living in anxiety about the future and start walking in confidence about destiny. Your life becomes a reflection of order, clarity, and purpose. Divine alignment is the foundation of every lasting breakthrough. Without alignment, progress is fragile and temporary. With alignment, progress is stable and sustainable. It is alignment that turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results, and ordinary people into carriers of extraordinary impact. And when your spirit aligns with higher purpose, you discover a powerful truth. Doors do not just open because you knock. They open because you are finally standing in the right place at the right time with the right heart and the right vision. Many people spend their lives hoping that blessings will appear automatically, believing that favor is something mysterious that only a few experience. Yet there is a deeper reality that governs spiritual progress: authority. Authority is not arrogance, and it is not domination over others. It is the quiet confidence that comes from understanding who you are, why you exist, and what you have been empowered to do. When a person lacks identity, they live in hesitation. When identity is revealed, hesitation transforms into boldness, and boldness becomes the key that unlocks higher levels of blessing. Identity is the foundation of authority. If you do not know who you are, you will constantly seek validation from people who do not understand your destiny. You will measure your worth by opinions that change with time and circumstances. But when your identity becomes clear, your focus shifts. You no longer ask, am I enough? Instead, you begin to ask, how can I fully express the purpose placed within me? That shift in mindset marks the beginning of true authority. Authority is not given by titles or positions. It is cultivated through alignment, discipline, and conviction. There are people who hold powerful positions yet lack inner authority. And there are people with no visible status whose words carry weight and influence. Inner authority is born when your values are consistent, your character is stable, and your vision is unwavering. When your inner world is ordered, your outer world begins to respond. Understanding identity also changes how you approach challenges. Without authority, every obstacle feels intimidating. Every delay feels like defeat. And every criticism feels like a personal attack. But when authority is established, challenges become assignments rather than threats. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding strategically. You understand that opposition is often evidence that you are moving in the right direction, not proof that you should retreat. Authority also reshapes your language. People who lack identity speak from fear, insecurity, and doubt. Their words are filled with hesitation. Maybe, I hope, I'm not sure. But people who understand their authority speak with clarity and conviction. Their words carry direction. They do not just describe problems, they declare solutions. They do not just complain about circumstances. They command change in their environment through disciplined action and focused intention. Many individuals live below their potential because they are waiting for permission to rise. They believe they need approval from society, family, or systems before they can step into their calling. But true authority does not wait for permission. It recognizes responsibility. When you understand that you are responsible for the expression of your purpose, you stop waiting for external validation and start acting from internal conviction. Authority is also connected to responsibility. The more authority you carry, the more accountable you become for your choices. You realize that every decision you make shapes not only your life, but also the lives of those connected to you. This awareness deepens your wisdom. You begin to choose growth over comfort, truth over convenience, and purpose over popularity. Authority matures when you are willing to bear the weight of responsibility without losing humility. Another dimension of authority is the ability to say no. Many people lose their power because they cannot set boundaries. They say yes to distractions, yes to toxic relationships, yes to activities that drain their energy. But authority teaches discernment. It helps you understand that every opportunity is not an assignment and every invitation is not a calling. When you learn to say no to what is unnecessary, you create space for what is essential. Authority also affects how you perceive blessings. Instead of seeing blessings as random gifts, you begin to see them as tools for purpose. You understand that resources, opportunities, and influence are not merely for personal comfort, but for impact. This perspective changes how you manage what you receive. You become a steward rather than a consumer, a builder rather than a spectator. There is a transformative power in recognizing your authority. It liberates you from fear of failure because you realize that failure is not an identity but an experience. It frees you from comparison because you understand that your journey is unique. It releases you from insecurity because you know that your value is not negotiable. With authority, you stop shrinking yourself to fit spaces that were never designed for your greatness. Yet authority must be nurtured. It grows through consistent learning, self-reflection, and spiritual depth. It requires moments of silence where you confront your weaknesses and moments of courage where you confront your fears. Every time you choose growth over stagnation, your authority expands. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, your influence increases. Understanding your identity is the gateway to commanding blessings rather than begging for them. When you know who you are, you no longer approach life as a victim of circumstances, but as a participant in destiny. You stop asking whether you deserve more and start preparing yourself to carry more. Authority transforms your posture. You stand upright in confidence, speak with clarity, and move with purpose. When authority is fully awakened within you, blessings begin to respond to your presence. Doors open not because you plead, but because you have become someone whose life aligns with purpose and whose spirit radiates conviction. In that state, you discover a profound truth. Authority is not about controlling life. It is about mastering yourself. And when you master yourself, life begins to cooperate with your destiny in ways you never imagined. Many people believe that progress is always loud, visible, and dramatic. But the truth is that some of the most significant breakthroughs in life are hidden behind quiet processes. There are doors that do not open with noise, force, or impatience. They open in response to obedience, endurance, and faithfulness in moments when no one is watching. Hidden doors exist not to frustrate you, but to prepare you, to refine your character, and to align your heart with the level of blessing you are about to receive. Often, when people pray for change, they expect immediate results. When nothing seems to happen, they assume that their efforts are wasted or that their prayers are unheard. But what appears like silence is often a season of construction. In those moments, unseen foundations are being laid and invisible doors are being positioned in your path. The problem is not that doors do not exist. The problem is that many people stop walking before they reach them. Hidden doors are usually located in places that require discipline. They are found in daily habits that seem ordinary, in small decisions that appear insignificant, and in acts of obedience that seem unrewarded. Many people want extraordinary outcomes without embracing ordinary faithfulness. But greatness is rarely born from sudden miracles alone. It is shaped by consistent obedience in the mundane. Every time you choose integrity over convenience, patience over frustration, and truth over compromise, you move closer to doors that cannot be opened by talent alone. There is also a hidden door behind patience. Patience is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is the ability to remain steady while waiting for the right moment to act. In a world that celebrates speed and instant results, patience feels outdated. Yet impatience often leads people to open doors that were never meant for them. They rush into relationships, opportunities, and decisions that later become burdens. Hidden doors, however, respond to those who are willing to wait without losing faith. Faith plays a crucial role in discovering hidden doors. Faith is not blind optimism. It is the courage to move forward even when the path is unclear. It is the willingness to trust a higher plan even when evidence is scarce. Many doors remain hidden not because they are locked, but because people are afraid to walk far enough into uncertainty to find them. Faith pushes you beyond familiar boundaries and leads you into territories where new possibilities exist. Sometimes hidden doors are disguised as challenges. What looks like an obstacle may actually be a gateway to growth. When you face resistance, your first reaction may be to retreat, but resistance often signals that you are approaching a threshold. Just as muscles grow through tension, destiny unfolds through pressure. If you learn to interpret difficulties as signals rather than setbacks, you will begin to recognize the hidden doors embedded within adversity. Another aspect of hidden doors is obedience to inner guidance. There are moments when you feel a quiet nudge to make a decision that does not make logical sense. You feel compelled to change direction, to let go of something familiar, or to pursue a path that others do not understand. These moments are often invitations to hidden doors, but obedience requires courage because it involves stepping away from comfort and embracing uncertainty. Hidden doors also require humility. Pride blinds people to opportunities that do not match their expectations. Some doors come in forms that seem too small, too simple, or too ordinary to matter. People ignore them because they are waiting for something grand. Yet history is filled with stories of individuals who embraced small beginnings and discovered that those small doors led to massive transformations. Humility allows you to recognize value where others see insignificance. There is also a hidden door behind consistency. Many people start journeys with enthusiasm, but abandon them when excitement fades. They underestimate the power of showing up daily, even when motivation is low. But consistency is a key that unlocks doors that talent alone cannot open. When you remain committed despite boredom, fatigue, or doubt, you prove that you are ready for greater responsibility. Hidden doors respond to persistence. Sometimes hidden doors appear after loss. Loss has a way of stripping away illusions and revealing what truly matters. When something you relied on disappears, it forces you to re-evaluate your direction. In that painful process, new doors often emerge, doors that lead to deeper purpose, stronger identity, and clearer vision. What seemed like an ending becomes a beginning, and what felt like destruction becomes redirection. Hidden doors are also connected to preparation. Many people pray for opportunities they are not prepared to handle. If those doors open prematurely, they would become disasters rather than blessings. That is why preparation often happens in obscurity. You are being trained, refined, and strengthened in ways you do not fully understand. Every skill you develop, every lesson you learn, and every weakness you confront is part of the preparation for doors you have not yet seen. Hidden doors are not meant to frustrate you, but to transform you. They teach you to value process over shortcuts, depth over appearance, and purpose over applause. When you finally discover these doors, you realize that the waiting was not wasted, the struggle was not meaningless, and the silence was not abandonment. It was all part of a carefully designed journey. When hidden doors begin to open, they do not just change your circumstances, they change you. You become wiser, stronger, and more grounded. You stop chasing visible success and start pursuing meaningful impact. You realize that the greatest doors are not always the ones everyone can see, but the ones that only those who endured, obeyed, and believed were able to find. And when you walk through those doors, you understand that every step of the journey was necessary to bring you to that moment. Every person encounters invisible barriers at some point in life. These barriers are not always physical or obvious. They exist in the mind, in emotions, in beliefs, and in unseen patterns that quietly shape outcomes. Many people work hard, pray sincerely, and dream boldly, yet they feel as though something unseen is holding them back. These limitations are not permanent walls. They are conditions that can be confronted, understood, and broken. The journey to the next level begins when you recognize that what you are facing is not always external opposition, but internal restriction. Invisible limitations often begin as subtle thoughts. A single idea repeated over time becomes a belief, and a belief eventually becomes a boundary. Thoughts like, I am not good enough, people like me never succeed, or this is just how my life will always be, slowly build invisible cages. These cages are dangerous because they feel normal. People do not realize that they are imprisoned. They simply assume that their circumstances are fixed. But the truth is that no visible change can happen until invisible limitations are challenged. Breaking limitations requires awareness. You cannot defeat what you refuse to acknowledge. Many people avoid confronting their inner fears because it is uncomfortable. They prefer to blame circumstances, society, or others rather than examine their own beliefs. But transformation begins when you courageously ask yourself difficult questions. What do I truly believe about myself? What fears control my decisions? What patterns keep repeating in my life? Awareness exposes limitations and makes them vulnerable to change. Once limitations are exposed, they must be confronted with truth. Truth has a disruptive power. It dismantles lies that have been accepted for years. When you replace limiting beliefs with empowering truths, your perception shifts. You begin to see possibilities where you once saw impossibilities. Truth reprograms the mind and liberates the spirit. It teaches you that your past does not define your future, and your mistakes do not cancel your destiny. Another invisible barrier is fear of failure. Many people do not fail because they try. They fail because they never try. Fear convinces them that it is safer to remain stagnant than to risk disappointment. But stagnation is a silent form of defeat. Growth always involves risk, uncertainty, and discomfort. When you accept that failure is not the opposite of success but part of the learning process, fear loses its power. You begin to move forward, not because you are sure of success, but because you are tired of limitation. There is also the limitation of comparison. When you constantly measure your progress against others, you lose sight of your unique journey. Comparison creates frustration, envy, and discouragement. It blinds you to your own growth and makes you undervalue your achievements. Breaking this limitation requires embracing individuality. You must understand that your pace is not inferior because it is different. When you focus on your own path, you regain clarity and confidence. Another hidden barrier is emotional baggage. Unresolved pain, bitterness, and disappointment can silently sabotage progress. People carry wounds from past experiences and unknowingly allow them to dictate present decisions. They avoid opportunities because they fear being hurt again. They resist trust because they were betrayed before. Emotional baggage becomes a heavy weight that slows down progress. Breaking this limitation requires forgiveness, not because others deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. Limitations also arise from comfort zones. Comfort zones are attractive because they feel safe, predictable, and controllable. But they are also dangerous because they restrict growth. Staying in familiar environments may protect you from immediate discomfort, but it also prevents you from discovering your true potential. Every breakthrough requires leaving something familiar behind. When you choose growth over comfort, you begin to break invisible barriers that once defined your boundaries. Another powerful limitation is negative language. Words shape reality more than people realize. When you constantly speak defeat, doubt, and hopelessness, you reinforce limitations. Language is not just expression, it is construction. The way you speak about your life, your future, and your abilities influences how you think and act. Changing your language is not superficial optimism, it is strategic transformation. When your words change, your mindset follows. Invisible limitations can also be inherited from environment. Family beliefs, cultural expectations, and societal norms often impose boundaries on what people believe is possible. Many individuals abandon dreams not because they lack ability, but because they were taught that such dreams are unrealistic. Breaking environmental limitations requires courage. It means questioning traditions that no longer serve growth and redefining success on your own terms. The process of breaking limitations is not instant. It is gradual and sometimes painful. There are moments when old beliefs resurface, when fear returns, and when progress seems slow. But every time you challenge a limitation, you weaken its grip. Every step forward, no matter how small, is evidence that barriers are not invincible. Breaking invisible limitations is an inner revolution. It is the decision to no longer accept boundaries that were never meant to define you. It is the refusal to let fear, past experiences, or external expectations dictate your future. When limitations are shattered, something profound happens. Your vision expands. You begin to see life not as a series of restrictions, but as a landscape of possibilities. When invisible barriers fall, visible change follows. Opportunities appear where none existed before. Confidence replaces insecurity. Purpose replaces confusion. You realize that the greatest enemy was never the world around you, but the walls you unknowingly built within yourself. And when those walls collapse, you step into a new dimension of freedom, power, and potential. A realm where your life is no longer controlled by limitations, but guided by vision and courage. Favor is often misunderstood as luck, coincidence, or unfair advantage. But in reality, favor is a principle that operates according to alignment between preparation and purpose. Many people desire favor without understanding that favor is not random. It is activated when the inner state of a person matches the responsibilities they are about to carry. When preparation meets purpose, favor becomes inevitable. It is not something you chase desperately. It is something that begins to respond to your growth, discipline, and clarity. Preparation is more than acquiring skills. It is the process of shaping character, refining vision, and strengthening resilience. Many individuals focus only on external achievements, ignoring the inner work that determines whether they can sustain success. Without preparation, favor can become a burden rather than a blessing. Opportunities may arrive, but without maturity, they collapse under pressure. True preparation ensures that when favor comes, it finds stability rather than chaos. Purpose, on the other hand, is not merely ambition. It is the deep sense of direction that gives meaning to effort. When purpose is unclear, people pursue goals that do not align with their true calling. They invest energy in paths that bring temporary satisfaction, but long-term emptiness. Favor is rarely activated in such confusion. But when purpose becomes clear, effort becomes focused, and focus attracts favor. The universe seems to cooperate with those who know where they are going. The meeting point of preparation and purpose is where transformation occurs. Imagine a person who has developed discipline, patience, and skill, yet lacks clarity of direction. Such a person may work hard but feel unfulfilled. Conversely, imagine someone with a powerful vision but no preparation. Such a person may dream big but fail repeatedly. Favor emerges when these two dimensions converge, when a prepared individual discovers and commits to a meaningful purpose. Favor often manifests through relationships. People begin to notice your consistency, your integrity, and your excellence. Doors open not because you begged for them, but because your preparation made you reliable and your purpose made you inspiring. Mentors appear, collaborators emerge, and opportunities align. Favor is relational because it flows through trust. People trust those who are prepared and purposeful. Another way favor is activated is through service. Many people think favor is about being celebrated, but it often begins with serving. When you use your abilities to add value to others, you position yourself in an environment where favor can flow. Service refines humility, and humility attracts influence. When your purpose is larger than personal gain, your preparation becomes meaningful, and favor begins to follow naturally. Favor also requires patience. Some people abandon preparation too early because they do not see immediate rewards. They interpret delay as rejection, but preparation is often hidden and purpose is often tested before it is revealed. Favor usually comes after long seasons of unseen work. Those who endure those seasons with faithfulness discover that what seemed like delay was actually divine timing. There is also an emotional dimension to favor. People who carry bitterness, envy, or resentment often sabotage their own opportunities. Negative emotions distort perception and damage relationships. But those who cultivate gratitude, forgiveness, and emotional maturity create an atmosphere where favor can thrive. Favor is not comfortable in toxic environments. It flourishes in hearts that are peaceful, focused, and disciplined. Another key to activating favor is adaptability. Preparation does not mean rigidity. Sometimes purpose evolves, and favor follows those who are willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn. People who cling stubbornly to outdated methods often miss new opportunities, but those who remain flexible while staying grounded in purpose attract favor in changing environments. Adaptability is a sign of wisdom, and wisdom attracts favor. Favor is also linked to courage. Many people are prepared but afraid to act. They wait for perfect conditions that never arrive, but favor responds to movement. When you take bold steps in alignment with purpose, you signal readiness. Courage bridges the gap between preparation and manifestation. Without courage, preparation remains dormant potential. Another dimension of favor is consistency. Favor is rarely activated by occasional effort. It responds to patterns of excellence. When you consistently show up with quality, discipline, and integrity, you build a reputation that attracts opportunities. Consistency transforms preparation into credibility, and credibility invites favor. Ultimately, favor is not about external applause. It is about internal alignment. When your actions reflect your values, your skills reflect your vision, and your discipline reflects your purpose, favor becomes a natural consequence. You stop asking why others are favored and start understanding how favor works. When preparation meets purpose, something remarkable happens. effort becomes effective, vision becomes actionable, and dreams become attainable. You realize that favor was not withheld from you. It was waiting for you to become ready. And when readiness meets calling, favor does not knock politely. It enters boldly, reshaping your life in ways you never imagined. In that moment, you understand a profound truth. Favor is not a mysterious gift reserved for a few. It is a response to alignment. When you prepare diligently and pursue purpose faithfully, favor becomes the bridge that carries you from potential to fulfillment, from vision to reality, and from aspiration to achievement. There are moments in life when waiting feels unbearable. You have worked hard, prayed sincerely, and invested your energy, yet the results you expected have not appeared. In such moments, it is easy to conclude that something is wrong, that you have been forgotten, overlooked, or denied. But delay is not always denial. Sometimes delay is evidence that something greater is being prepared beyond what you can currently see or understand. Human nature often equates speed with success. We admire quick results and instant breakthroughs, assuming that faster is always better. But true growth does not always follow human timelines. Some things require time not because they are impossible, but because they are valuable. Just as seeds do not become trees overnight, destinies do not unfold instantly. Timing is a powerful force. And when timing aligns with purpose, the impact is far greater than what impatience could ever produce. Delay often serves as a period of refinement. During waiting seasons, character is shaped, motives are purified, and resilience is developed. Many people focus only on what they lack during delay, failing to recognize what they are becoming. In the quiet seasons of waiting, strength is built, wisdom is gained, and clarity emerges. If everything arrived immediately, there would be no depth, no stability, and no capacity to sustain blessings. Another reason delay exists is preparation. Many people desire outcomes they are not ready to handle. If certain doors opened too early, they would lead to destruction rather than fulfillment. Delay protects you from burdens disguised as opportunities. It ensures that when blessings arrive, they find maturity instead of confusion. Preparation is often invisible, but its impact is undeniable when the right moment arrives. Delay also teaches discernment. When things do not happen as quickly as expected, you are forced to evaluate your priorities. You begin to question whether your desires are aligned with purpose or driven by comparison. Delay exposes superficial ambitions and strengthens genuine calling. It separates temporary excitement from lasting commitment. There is also a spiritual dimension to timing. Life operates on rhythms that are larger than individual desires. Some doors cannot open until certain conditions are met, certain lessons are learned, and certain alignments occur. Trying to force outcomes before the right time often leads to frustration and regret. But when you learn to move in harmony with timing, your efforts become more effective and less exhausting. Delay is also a test of faith. Faith is not proven when everything is easy. It is proven when you continue to believe despite uncertainty. Waiting reveals what you truly trust. Do you trust only what you can see, or do you trust the process even when evidence is scarce? Those who endure delay with patience develop an inner stability that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Another hidden gift of delay is perspective. When things take time, you gain a broader understanding of life. You begin to appreciate progress rather than perfection. You learn to value small victories and incremental growth. Delay teaches gratitude because you realize that every step forward, no matter how small, is meaningful. Delay also reshapes identity. Many people define themselves by achievements and outcomes. When those outcomes are delayed, they feel lost. But delay forces you to discover who you are beyond success. It teaches you that your worth is not dependent on speed or recognition. This realization liberates you from pressure and allows you to grow authentically. However, delay does not mean passivity. Waiting is not an excuse for laziness. True waiting is active. It involves learning, improving, and preparing. While outcomes may be delayed, growth should never be postponed. Those who use delay as an opportunity for development emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable when the right moment arrives. Delay also builds resilience. Life is unpredictable, and those who have never waited often crumble under pressure. But those who have endured delay develop endurance. They learn how to navigate uncertainty without losing direction. Resilience becomes their strength, and perseverance becomes their identity. Delay is not a punishment. It is a process. It is not a sign that your dreams are unrealistic. It is a sign that your journey is complex. When the right moment finally arrives, you often realize that if things had happened earlier, you would not have been ready to handle them. You understand that what you once called delay was actually protection. When timing aligns with purpose, breakthroughs feel effortless. Doors open naturally. Relationships align seamlessly, and opportunities appear at the right moment. You realize that waiting was not wasted time. It was strategic preparation. The clarity you gained, the strength you developed, and the wisdom you acquired during delay all converge to support your next level. In that moment, your perspective changes forever. You stop fearing delay and start trusting timing. You understand that life is not a race, but a journey guided by rhythm and purpose. And as you move forward with patience and confidence, you discover a powerful truth. Delay was not denial. It was destiny unfolding in perfect timing, shaping you into the person capable of carrying the greatness that was always meant for you. Every transformation begins in the mind. Long before circumstances change, long before opportunities appear, and long before visible breakthroughs happen, something shifts in the way a person thinks. Many people wait for external change before they change internally, but true progress walks in the opposite direction. Your next level does not begin with new resources, new connections, or new environments. It begins with a renewed way of thinking that matches the calling placed upon your life. The mind is not just a tool for processing information. It is the control center of destiny. The thoughts you entertain today shape the reality you experience tomorrow. If your mind is filled with limitation, fear, and doubt, your life will reflect those patterns. But when your thinking expands, your possibilities expand. That is why transformation is not merely about doing more. It is about thinking differently. Many people remain stuck not because they lack ability, but because they are trapped in outdated mindsets. They interpret life through the lens of past failures, disappointments, and disappointments repeated so often that they become identity. Instead of seeing challenges as opportunities to grow, they see them as proof that they are not meant to succeed. This mindset becomes a silent prison. Breaking free requires a conscious decision to question old beliefs and replace them with empowering truths. A renewed mindset is not built overnight. It is the result of consistent mental discipline. Every day, you are confronted with choices, whether to focus on fear or faith, scarcity or abundance, weakness or strength. Each choice may seem small, but over time, these choices shape your identity. When you consistently choose thoughts that align with growth, your mindset begins to rise naturally to meet your calling. Your calling is always bigger than your current understanding. That is why growth feels uncomfortable. When your mindset is smaller than your destiny, expansion feels like pressure. But pressure is not always destructive. Sometimes it is evidence that you are being stretched beyond old limitations. Just as muscles grow through resistance, the mind expands through challenge. When you embrace challenge instead of avoiding it, your thinking evolves. Another aspect of mindset transformation is responsibility. Many people blame external factors for their stagnation, the economy, family background, lack of opportunities, or unfair systems. While these factors can influence life, they do not have ultimate control. A transformed mindset shifts focus from excuses to responsibility. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what can I learn from this? And how can I grow through it? That shift is powerful because it restores control to your hands. Mindset transformation also changes how you interpret failure. Without renewal, failure feels final. With renewal, failure becomes feedback. You begin to see mistakes not as proof of inadequacy, but as information for improvement. This perspective removes fear from experimentation. When fear disappears, creativity emerges. When creativity emerges, innovation follows. And when innovation follows, new levels become possible. Another dimension of mindset is vision. People without vision live reactively. They respond to circumstances rather than shaping them. But when your mindset is aligned with vision, you begin to live proactively. You make decisions not based on immediate comfort, but on long-term purpose. Vision elevates your thinking beyond present limitations and connects you to future possibilities. Mindset transformation also affects relationships. When your thinking changes, the type of people you attract changes. You begin to resonate with individuals who challenge you to grow rather than those who reinforce stagnation. Conversations become deeper, collaborations become more meaningful, and influences become more positive. A renewed mind naturally seeks environments that support expansion. There is also a spiritual dimension to mindset. Beyond logic and reasoning, there is intuition, discernment, and inner conviction. When your mind is renewed, you become more sensitive to inner guidance. You learn to distinguish between fear and wisdom, impulse and purpose. This clarity helps you make decisions that align with your destiny rather than momentary emotions. However, mindset transformation requires intentional effort. Negative thoughts do not disappear automatically. They must be confronted repeatedly. Old habits do not vanish instantly. They must be replaced with new patterns. There will be moments when you feel pulled back into old ways of thinking. But every time you choose growth over comfort, you strengthen your renewed mindset. Mindset transformation also demands patience. You may not see immediate changes in your environment, but that does not mean nothing is happening. Internal change often precedes external manifestation. Just as roots grow underground before a tree appears above ground, your renewed mindset is quietly building the foundation for future breakthroughs. Ultimately, your next level begins when your thinking rises to match your calling. When your mind expands, your capacity expands. When your capacity expands, your opportunities expand. You realize that the greatest barrier was never external opposition, but internal limitation. When your mindset is transformed, life begins to respond differently. You approach challenges with confidence instead of fear. You pursue goals with clarity instead of confusion. You embrace growth with courage instead of hesitation. And in that moment, you understand a powerful truth. Your destiny was never too big for you. Your thinking was simply too small. But now, as your mind rises, your life follows, and you step boldly into the next level that was always waiting for you. As this journey of reflection and prayer comes to a close, one truth stands clearly before us. Every new level in life begins from within. Elevation is not an accident, and blessings are not random events. They are the natural outcome of alignment, authority, obedience, patience, preparation, timing, and a transformed mindset. When these dimensions come together, your life becomes positioned for a breakthrough that cannot be stopped. You have seen that hidden doors exist even when they are not visible. You have learned that limitations can be broken, that favor can be activated, that delay can be meaningful, and that your thinking must rise to match your calling. These are not just ideas. They are principles that shape destiny. When you embrace them, you stop living as a victim of circumstances and start walking as a carrier of purpose. Remember, your next level is not only about external success. It is about inner strength, clarity of vision, and depth of character. It is about becoming the kind of person who can sustain blessings without losing direction. When your inner world is transformed, your outer world begins to align naturally. There may still be moments of doubt, seasons of waiting, and challenges that test your faith. But do not be discouraged. Every step you take in growth is moving you closer to the life you were meant to live. What once seemed impossible will begin to feel attainable. What once felt distant will begin to feel near. As you rise from this moment, carry this conviction in your heart. You are not stuck, you are not delayed, and you are not forgotten. You are in a process of preparation for something greater. And as you continue to walk in alignment, courage, and renewed thinking, your next level of blessings will unfold, not by chance, but by purpose.